council meeting. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Gerardo Anaya.
Present.
Vice Mayor Miguel Villalpando.
Present.
Councilmember Luis Galindo.
Present.
Councilmember Jesus Roldan.
Present.
Councilmember Martha Garcia.
Present.
Councilmember Juan Castillo.
Present.
Councilmember Lorena Sendejas.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Gonna move on. Call to the public. Anybody from the public wishing to address council? There's no one. We have 5 items in consent agenda. Approval of IGA between Yuma County and City of Somerton to continue to be a member of the Yuma Regional Communications System. Approval to renew lease agreement between the City of Somerton and 85350 Sports Bar and Grill for property located at 346 West Main Street, Somerton, Arizona. Item number 3, approval of interim city manager employment agreement between the City of Somerton and Carmen Juarez and a budget adjustment to the Community Development 2023 personnel budget. Item number 4, approval to enter into an agreement with Pace Engineering to perform engineering services for the water master plan update in the amount of $109,075. Item number 5, approval to designate interim city manager Carmen Juarez as the certifying officer to all environmental review items for the City of Somerton as required by the Arizona Department of Housing. Does any member of council want to remove an item for consent agenda for discussion? Is there a motion? The motion
Second.
by Councilwoman Sendejas, second by Councilman Roldan. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to move on to old business. Discussion and possible action to select and approve a project site for the planning and building design of a multi-use community facility expansion project to be designed by Last Architects.
Would you like me to kick off the discussion?
1 second, Brad.
Yes, Brad, you can start, Brad. Yes, Hector.
Hi, Hector. Yeah, I will go ahead and get started.
The city manager was explaining that. I don't think she's done yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't hear. My apologies.
Can you hear me now? I think my microphone wasn't working. So
I can hear you now. Thank you.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members, this item was tabled at the previous meeting. We had a tie motion, if you will. So tonight, included in your staff report, there's some financial impact information. And if you have any questions, we have Hector on the line and also Brad from Last Architect.
Okay, Brad, go ahead.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'd like to, again, thank you for allowing us to address council on this important project. You have a couple of documents in front of you. We were asked upon architect selection for this new project to look at 2 sites as potential locations for the community center project. The one that you're seeing on your screen currently, the Canal Street and Council Avenue site, this site came to our attention when we first addressed council, I don't know, some weeks back. Members of council thought that this would and still think this would make a good site for the project and asked us to explore what the potential of this particular site is. You can see that there is currently a small cultural center building on the property. After doing this study, we were informed that that building could be potentially demolished as part of this community center project. What you're seeing currently, though, is our assessment of the buildable area if the building were to stay. We've been tasked with designing a potentially an 8,000 or so square foot facility. So you can see that this site is, I wouldn't characterize it as tight, but it is smaller than the next site that we are going to be looking at. And it is about 12,000 square feet, I believe, if you were to count the area of the cultural center. So some of the pros and cons of this particular site when we did our study, some of the pros are that it does have adjacency to some important community buildings. The library, as I'm sure you all know, is across the street. Council Avenue Park is to the west. Some of the, one of the cons is there's potentially some parking issues with this site. As a smaller site, it is less parked than a larger site and would potentially need to arrange some type of parking arrangement with the library or look for other parking areas around this site.
Mayor, if I may interrupt.
Yes, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
What do you mean it's a little tight? You still have a lot of property which would be on the west of the potential site that is identified. So I'm not understanding how it would be tight.
I guess tight in the kind of literal sense that most of the buildable area would be taken up by building and therefore presenting the problem of trying to find more outdoor space for parking, outdoor space for landscape, etc. That's all I meant by tight. I'm not saying that you could not build an 8,000 square foot facility on this site.
But according to your rendition there, you still have a lot of buildable area around the trees that are identified in there. So those can even be potentially turned into parking spaces.
So the pink line, just so I understand your comment, sir, the pink line represents the buildable area in that each site has setbacks that are put towards the site. I believe we have a front street setback that's represented here, a side yard setback that goes all the way to Council Avenue, which is in our benefit. And it looks like even a 0 setback to the rear yard. So some of that open space that you are referring to, I think, if I'm following you correctly, yes, would remain open potentially for parking, but would not be open for buildable area. Now, if you're referring to the space to the right, that was outside of the scope of this particular study, as we didn't look at the impact of what some of that open space retention area next to the James Curley Center would mean relative to this project.
I was referring to all that property over there by where I'm assuming it's a tree outlines on the side where it's right next to Council Avenue. There's quite a bit of property available along the side, so I wasn't understanding why parking spaces couldn't be incorporated in there.
Yeah, so, okay, so I think maybe I understand your comment better now. So when we did this particular study, we were under the impression that the existing building, the outline in gray, would remain, and that we would need to add 8,000 square feet to that existing building. That was our understanding when we did this particular study. If we were to add 8,000 square feet to that existing building, hence the buildable area only being 8,900 square feet, is where we made our assessment that this would be a quote unquote tighter site to put a building on. Now you're right, if the original or existing building, the Somerton Cultural Center building, were to be demolished and we were to build a new building on this site, we would have more area to potentially work with to incorporate needed parking and other outdoor necessities for a new building.
What's the square footage of the current building?
I don't think it says explicitly, but I'm going to do a quick calculation. It looks like the building is about 60 feet by 30 or 40 feet. So maybe it's a 2,400 square foot building currently. That's an estimate.
Thank you.
Council member, did I answer your question sufficiently?
Yeah, yes.
My apologies for the initial confusion.
No, the only reason I'm bringing it up is because 8,000 square foot building can easily be put in that entire lot. And so
In the entire, yes.
In the entire lot. And we do own that part of that parking lot out there with the library. It's actually city property. And so we do have parking along Council Avenue as well. So the parking situation itself is not that much different from what's over here on at the community center on Canal Street and Cesar Chavez.
Did you want us to look at the other site for comparison and we can continue the discussion?
Yes.
I mean, for me, it's for me, I don't think I've changed my opinion. I prefer that on this site than over here on Canal Street or on Main Street, just because the city has invested a lot of money in our economic development, and by us taking that corner lot out of economic to put a city building, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense when we've invested so much time and effort on developing and having a property available for potential investors. I mean, the old City Hall site is a perfect example where we didn't build right there on the corner of State and Main Street because we wanted to leave it open for the possibility of economic development. So that's why we are in the current location that we're in. And so by us doing that, we're being counterproductive to everything that I feel that we've established. That site on Main Street and Cesar Chavez would be a prime location for somebody like McDonald's or Starbucks that want to open a little shop. You got Dutch Boys that could potentially open up there, that they don't require such a large site, but the traffic count might be sufficient for them to open up a business there. So that and aesthetically, I mean, my family has lived right on Canal Street. A lot of families have lived there for a long, long time. They weren't happy when we built the cultural center, and now we're thinking about building another one towards the back. So every morning they wake up, they see a big old commercial building. When they first purchased these properties, they had a nice, well, back then I thought it was nice, park that eventually has been changing, and now all of a sudden we're going to put another building like right in front of them, but that has no economic value when we could easily put like I said, at least save the first half of that property and use it for economic development. So for me, it's still my logical choice for me, I guess, is the one we're talking about right now on Council Avenue and Canal Street.
Okay, let's look at the other property.
Yes, sure. Again, quickly, let me summarize the study that we did here. This was actually the site that was proposed in the initial request for qualifications that Last and Stern Co. responded to. And the RFQ asked for an 8,000 square foot expansion of the Somerton Community Center. It initially had the expansion going to the east of the Somerton Community Center. And the reason being is that until a little time after the RFQ was completed, did the city purchase and come into possession of the plot of land that runs to the west, that runs along Cesar Chavez Boulevard. With the purchase of that land, the city now controlled the entire block, and therefore we began, on the city's direction, looking at the site in its totality and what it could possibly, how it could possibly support an 8,000 square foot expansion, or as we came to learn during our testing, a 8,000 square foot standalone building. And so what you're seeing on this particular study are multiple locations where 8,000 square feet expansion or standalone building could reside, given the site and the entirety of the block. Some of these expansions we looked at for particular reasons given to us by council. One of those reasons being to preserve the ability of the Somerton Heritage Pool to expand, whether that be to the south or towards the east. Some of the other areas of interest explored the corner, as a council member was just referring to, and also explored expanding the community center to the west. All of those particular possibilities would also include a reimagination and a reconfiguration of on-site parking. This site, being a little bit more generous from a square footage point of view, offered an easier path forward relief-wise on parking counts. But with that, I'll pause there and answer any questions, or you all can continue with your discussion.
Any questions or comments?
I have a comment. I think the only reason we decided to build this building is because of the pandemic after the COVID, that we didn't have nothing in case of a disaster. And I do understand what Miguel's point is, to build it over there. But my point is, if we build it in Main Street, then we have already the gym in case we really get a disaster overflow, we can put them there. Instead, we're going to be transferring from one end to the other one. So to me, it's more feasible to build it right on the east side of the building. We have the existing building. I think it'll be better for police department, for the fire department, because then we have one control center instead of, if we get overflow, where are we going to put them, in the gym? Or to me, that's my point of view. But
and Mayor,
It's Councilwoman Sendejas, and then you, Vice Mayor.
okay.
If I may, I have to tend to agree with Vice Mayor Villalpando. Councilman Galindo, if you're saying about the overflow, we have at the cultural center, it's divided in two, plus we have the youth center. And the purpose I had agreed to do it in, or had asked to propose to do it over here by the Culture Center is because of the council park. You know, if God willing, we never have a disaster, but if a disaster ever does occur, you know, we have that park where there's a landing for a helicopter. The Red Cross can come in and set up camp in this huge area. We can expand and make the Culture Center quite larger because of the surrounding area. I mean, it's just more logic, in my opinion, that it is moved away from Main Street, where, again, we do have a possible expansion for businesses there in the corner, as Vice Mayor had mentioned. The high school is coming. I think that it's more logic, in my opinion, that this expansion is done at the Cultural Center because there is enough room in that area to expand.
Yeah, but if we do it to the east, we don't have to touch the corner lot. Still will be available for retail.
Yes, but if we move it to the east, it's going to be touching the baseball field, and then the view of all those homes is going to be another building. I just feel that we need to leave the park as a park the way that it is now. You know, I was hoping that the pool can be larger. I mean, this pool, with the number of residents that are now moving into Somerton, these kids in this pool, all they do is jump up and down because they can't be swimming in there. They don't fit. So I was hoping to expand, make it a little small picnic area, make the pool larger, make it more enticing for our community. So if we're going to be putting a building there, how is that enticing to our community? I think we need to look out for our community, move it to the cultural center, take advantage of the wide area that we have at the council park, and focus that structure there. That's my opinion.
Any other comments before we proceed?
I think Vice Mayor was going to say something.
Okay, yes, Vice Mayor.
Well, she covered it. I was going to say about the overflow. It's more conducive there at the cultural center because of the youth center, but Councilwoman Zendejas covered it already. So
I don't know if I misunderstood at the beginning. Are you guys planning on demolishing the old cultural center? Because that's what the person was saying, to fit the 8,000 square footage. Are we still in?
It hasn't been decided yet.
But it
seems that it's still functional, so we can keep it.
You know, if we build it there, I would still like to keep the culture center. Then that shouldn't
still functional.
Well, I mean, if you guys decided to keep it, I mean, we could keep it, but I believe the youth center is almost the same size as the gym here. So it's the same blueprint.
Mayor?
Yes.
You know what? I mean, looking at both options, I mean, I think we're fortunate to be in this situation where we're able to choose from both. But I think, you know, I understand Vice Mayor's perspective about leaving that for economic development. But at the same time, I kind of feel like maybe we can have the best of both worlds. To me, I do understand that those residents their view is going to be kind of hindered with the buildings. But at the same time, I also feel that it's, you know, this is what happens when we're growing. It's part of us growing. To me, we're growing to the west. To me, it makes sense to leave it, whether east of the community center or west. I'm even thinking like if as an option, if we do it to the west, maybe on that corner we could, you know, have that Starbucks do a 2-level, you know, 2-story building, or kind of still share that parking with whoever comes in. I think there's a lot of creative ways that I think can be figured out, that we could figure it out where we could still have that economic development component there. I mean, I'm not an architect or engineer to see how that would work, but I'm pretty sure that that could be managed. Again, I think both sites are great, but for me, you know, if it's built to the east, it'll kind of clear that whole room on the west. Where, I mean, with the swimming pool, I mean, is there even a plan to expand it to an Olympic size pool, or is that just in the preliminary stages? Because if it's in the preliminary stages, I mean, how long is that gonna take for it to come to fruition? You know, to me, it just makes better sense to either build it east or west. You know, I'm fine with either way, but maybe we could still offer that a fourth of that lot to a business and get the best of both worlds. Those are my thoughts.
Councilwoman.
Sorry, I'm leaning more towards over here on Canal, but my only concern is the funding that was already allocated for the Main Street area. How would we, can it, I don't know, can it be transferable? Can it?
My understanding is that we would have to reimburse, right? But because we use ARPA funding for the shelter, so it would have to be reimbursed to this. So, however we bought it for, then we could construct over there, right?
That is correct, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. According to the financial impact that was inserted by Finance Department, if the decision is made to go to the cultural center site, the funds that were used to acquire the land to the west of the community center will need to be, the funds will need to be transferred by the general fund. We need to replace those funds with the general fund.
Mayor,
so that's exactly the information that was inserted this time in your staff report.
Vice Mayor.
We could always use the logic that this is also going to be a site for in case the other side has overflow that can't fit into the youth center. So we could probably use that premises and still say that we bought this property, at least half of it for parking, because quite honestly, this area needs parking regardless. And again, you know, Councilman Castillo, I like the way you're thinking, but quite honestly, I think parking is going to be an issue. It always has been an issue. I mean, you guys haven't lived in this area, so you guys don't understand the headaches where they come and block your driveways. They park wherever they possibly can, and adding another building instead of strictly parking, I think it would be the wrong move. They're already parking in all this barren land. That's the little that is available, and so we'd be causing another major headache. But I think if we're able to spin it and say that this is also a disaster relief area, we should be able to apply those ARPA monies towards it, which is something I don't think we've explored.
Yeah, unfortunately, the other area also is surrounded by residents, and you go there for soccer. All those houses along Carlisle Avenue, along Canal Street, they're also impacted. So that's the issue with having a park in a neighborhood or public building. So either we can create it here, either we can have it here, or we're going to have it on that area of the city. So
yeah, and there's probably more parking available over there than there is here. This is a lot smaller park.
So can you briefly summarize what the impact analysis?
And Mayor, this is Hector. Can I say something?
Yes.
This is a question for legal advice, because also, as you recall, this site on the corner was also went through eminent domain.
It
If
didn't.
it's not used for public use, then that's a question for Jorge.
It didn't.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. The acquisition of that property did start as a condemnation action in eminent domain. However, throughout the case, the parties did reach a settlement and it ended up being bought upright and the case was dismissed. So
Yeah, the
at this
issue
point,
is the funding,
there's no restrictions on what we do with the property.
except for the funding that we would have to.
The funding that we use per finance, it looks like it's from ARPA funding, which follows a resolution that we've already passed, indicating that we wanted to use that section for a shelter.
But was the vice mayor's option considered or not?
I'm sorry,
Which was vice mayor, that if we move it, let's just say hypothetically, that if it moves, still use those ARPA funds? Or was that not explored?
Oh,
that hasn't been explored.
Yeah, that meeting, Vice Mayor was not here, and Councilwoman Sendejas was in council, if I recall correct. So that's why the change in.
Mayor, what we can do is we can explore that possibility of using the ARPA funds to the second location, if that can be a motion with that condition.
Second location? Where?
The location over by the council park.
Oh, that location, we can use it. We can use those funds probably, but I think we're not ready to make a decision. Yeah. Yeah, no. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
The last thing I would want is for those funds to come out of the general fund. You know, that's the last thing I would want.
Galindo coming back?
Yeah,
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to just offer a couple more thoughts for the council's consideration.
Go ahead.
So again, for your consideration, from an architectural point of view, I would ask two things of the council. One is it's very important that, yes, the building will serve as an emergency shelter, but I also would urge the council to consider what this building would do on a day-to-day basis, how it would serve the community on a day-to-day basis, and weigh the particular sites from that vantage point as well. And second, I do want to just express the difference between an architectural expansion and an architectural new building. And I only want to express it in these terms. When you expand an existing building, you have the benefit of a lot of existing infrastructure. You have the benefit of existing toilets. You have the benefit of existing mechanical spaces, of storage spaces. When you build a new building, obviously you need to take all of that into account. So again, this is just for to make the most informed decision that you can. An 8,000 square foot expansion would probably have more usable program space than an 8,000 square foot new building, because an 8,000 square foot new building would have potentially a percentage more of space dedicated to those things that support the program: restrooms, mechanical spaces, storage areas, etc. So I just wanted to offer those two things as you all make your decision. I know we will make a great project for you on either site, but I did want to bring that to your attention. Thank you.
Is there any questions or comments? I don't want to be stuck with this again. Any questions or comments? We'll do a roll call just because it's the third time, and let's get it done with. Okay. Councilwoman Garcia. Okay. Councilman Galindo.
Main Street Park.
Councilwoman Garcia. do we, you want me to come at the end for you? Can I do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Councilwoman, Councilman Castillo,
Main Street.
Sendejas.
I'm at the same, I know Sarina's not here and I just want clarification. I mean, if we have to return those funds, then that means other departments are going to get impacted. So there goes funds for them. Am I correct?
No, Ms. Galindo works for CDBG only.
Oh,
I don't think she's familiar with the ARPA, but that's my understanding coming from Zarina, that the ARPA funds will have to be returned and the general fund will have to pay for that, for the money for the land acquisition. That was exactly, it was her information that was included in the financial impact report.
If we designate the gym for shelter, do we need to reimburse that money because we're still going to use?
No, not according to the report, not according to Sarina. If we change location to the second option, to the cultural center, that's according to her report, yes, we do need to reimburse.
I didn't understand. So the mayor is asking if we designate the gym here as a shelter without doing
a second shelter.
Without doing the expansion.
Yeah, but that's going to be.
Are we still allowed to keep that fund, or would we have to reimburse?
Emergency shelter, perhaps we don't. I cannot tell you for sure. We would have to go back and do the research. My assumption is that if it's a second emergency shelter, we don't have to do that because that's the designation that it was used for the ARPA funds funding source. But again, I don't have 100%. I would have to go back and do the research.
I think at least for me, I'm firm on the location. So, that's something that I think we brought it 3 times, and we're split. And I know some of us grew up in that neighborhood, and it does impact. And we feel the same way, I guess, because there is some, but I feel the best location is on Main Street. Vice Mayor.
I'm on Council Avenue for all the reasons that I've already gave you guys. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, you guys are, I think we're making a big mistake if we go here because you guys aren't taking into account the residents that live around this area. And over there, it's a little bit more adequate just because there's already those type of structures there.
Councilwoman Garcia.
I don't know without.
They say Councilwoman Garcia. Okay, we look alike. This is Councilman Roldan. I think for me, Mayor, there's more options that we can, just seeing in the explanation from the presentation. I think the same with you guys. I think with Main Street Park.
So there's 4 to 1 currently.
I'm going to go with Council Park. Or the council.
So right now, Mayor, the tally is 4 ayes, 2 nays, and I guess 1 abstention if Councilman Garcia does not, or Gonzalez doesn't provide a vote. We can mark it as an abstention.
Okay.
Is that okay, Councilman?
So there were four for Main Street, two for Council Park, and one abstained. For Culture Center. Nice. There's some discussion and some, just that's what councils are for. Just come to discussion, and we can be divided, and that's fine.
Only time will tell if we made the right choice right now.
An uphill battle.
Very good discussion, Mayor and council members. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 1, discussion and possible action to enter an agreement with Yuma County water users to replace a collapsed main drain crossing the central main canal on County 15th Street, Avenue G, and Cesar Chavez Avenue in the amount of $205,542.87.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. The item before you on the agenda is a request to enter an agreement with Yuma County water users to reconstruct the central main drain crossing at County 15th Street near the Avenue F.5 alignment. Could you go up and direct to the first page? Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, on the weekend of May 29th, 2022, the corrugated metal culvert on the main drain crossing collapsed. The Yuma County Water Users Association approached the city and Yuma County requesting if we wanted to proceed with the repair of the collapsed bridge in order to restore County 15th Street back into service. The north half of County 15th Street is Yuma County jurisdiction, and the south half is City of Somerton jurisdiction. The right-of-way on the crossing itself belongs to the Yuma County Water Users Association. The county and the city agree that it is needed to get this roadway back in service. And Yuma County Water Users has agreed to provide a cost proposals for all these repairs. Yuma County Water Users completed their analysis of what it would cost to repair the crossing, and it came out to $411,085.73. Yuma County, having half of the crossing in their jurisdiction, is willing to contribute half of the $411,000. Half of the portion exactly would be $205,542.87, and the remaining half would be the responsibility of the City of Somerton. These numbers are real estimates. They were acquired by the Yuma County water users, and they are valid for 30 days due to the volatility of the market and material costs. So the financial impact, should this be approved, would be $205,542.87, which would be divided into 2 fiscal years and would come out of our HERF contingency fund, as shown in the discussion there.
Any questions or comments? Is there a motion?
So moved, Mayor.
A motion by Councilman Roldan.
Second.
Second by Councilman Castillo. In favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Item number 2, discussion and possible action to approve farmland lease agreement between TMP Farms and City of Somerton, approximately 23 acres of farmland located on 1334 West Main Street, Somerton, Arizona, in the amount of $12,224.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. On July 11th, 2022, there was a notice of intent to lease that was published on our city website. And this is for the lease of 23 acres of farmland located near 1334 West Main Street. This would be behind the high school and on the back of the, on the 20 acres by Parkview Commerce Center, the ones that we are still deciding whether it was going to be residential or a second phase of Parkview Commerce Center. So Jesus Tovar, this agreement would be entered with Jesus Tovar of TMP Farms, and he submitted a letter of interest to lease the property. There have been no other letters submitted showing interest. So us staff, to determine what would be the appropriate lease amount for this, we reached out to 3 different sources. One was with the help of our legal. We referred to a former lease agreement with Nature Fresh Farms for 55 acres. This lease, I believe it was in 2016. And we also reached out to Ronald Rice, farmer and member of the Planning and Zoning Commission. And we also reached out to Carolyn McKelvey, realtor, for the current market rates. So the price, the cost that is being, that we have adopted, that we, in this agreement, is very well within the market rate. Also, we agreed for this to be a lease of $12,224, and this would be divided into 2 payments. One payment being in November and the 2022, and the second payment being in March 2023. Are there any questions?
Any questions or comments? No, is there a motion? So motion by Councilwoman Garcia. Second by Councilwoman Sendejas. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one executive session, but we're going to go to summary of current events and future agenda items.
Okay, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, an update from the Administration Department. According to the University of Arizona, the results from the wastewater samples process for COVID last week are still showing the concentrations at level of concern 2. This is a reminder to the residents to be careful and vigilant to prevent getting the virus. Commercial account holders for trash pickup will be receiving a notice in the mail this week regarding the commercial service cancellation. This service will be terminated effective on September 15, 2022. Also, I will be attending the quarterly managers meeting scheduled for Wednesday, August 3rd from 11:30 to 1 p.m. And the City of San Luis will be hosting this meeting. Let me also give you the update from Public Works Department. Tank number 2, rehabilitation project contractor completed the replacement of the top 3 feet of the tank shell. Contractor continues installing the roof rafters. Approximately 3/4 of this item has been completed. Valley Vista Waterline Project, the contractor completed the installation of the steel encasement as well as the PVC pipe installation inside the casing, all these on the main drain crossing. Parkview Commerce Center Project, the contractor submitted all the material submittals. Notice to proceed will be sent at the end of this week. Construction to begin Monday, August 15. And the new street sweeper schedule has been completed by staff. The new 2022 street sweeper schedule and has been advertised on our website and social media. Our Public Works Street Department is already following this schedule. I also have the update from Finance Department. Interviews for customer service lead position will be taking place this week, working on Arizona Department of Revenue annual confidentiality recertification requirements, and also working on ARPA reporting and reconciliation for the year 2022. Now we have Parks and Rec Department.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members. In recreation, swimming lessons are complete for this year. We had 67 kids that complete the course. Basketball league is on break right now due to the fact that the community center is being used as a polling place, and the league will resume on Thursday. Fall soccer registration is ongoing with 152 kids registered. Registration will be closed on Friday. Splash Friday is this Friday from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. Games, giveaways, hot dogs are available. You're all invited to attend. Parks, the retention landscape RFP has been out. It's been on our website since Friday, and it's been advertised in the Yuma Daily Sun. We have a pre-bid meeting on August 10th, and the bid opening will be August 23rd. We are scheduled tomorrow for crews to go in, and we're going to start cleaning up Paracone. It's in pretty rough shape right now, so we're going to get that cleaned up. Special events coordinator is currently working on Leagues of Cities and Towns, yearly conference events showcasing Somerton. Also, coordinator is working on UTV event. There's a registration at the 85350 Sports Bar and Pizzeria at 6:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. This Friday. And the day of the event is September 24th. Thank you.
Fire Department.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Last Wednesday, we had one of our new hires start. He's a he's a full-time firefighter EMT. We continue to have 2 positions available for firefighters, hopefully paramedic. The parts that were supposed to come in for the engine on the 29th were delayed. The new date that we have is August 4th. It's going to be arriving in Phoenix, and we're not sure whether have to go pick it up to Phoenix or it's going to be delivered all the way to Yuma. Then we'll take the parts to the shop where their engine is currently at, and then depending on how long it will take for them to fix it. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Report from Police Department, please.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. So we brought aboard a captain. Today, I'm very glad to announce to you guys is Joseph Jenkins. He's a former chief of police with Tribal. And he's going to bring a lot of experience and a lot of help for us. So that's going to be great. So he started today. Today was his first day. He was here at City Hall. I don't know if he got introduced to the staff around, but he did orientation today. We also have another dispatcher that did orientation this morning as well. She'll be starting here in the next 2-3 weeks. And we'll have 2 more positions for dispatch to fill. So we continue to let the public know if they know of anybody that's interested. They can apply through Indeed at the City of Somerton. And we also had the first day of school today for the Somerton School District. It went very well, very smooth. I think the Somerton School District did a real good job in making sure that the guards were at the right place and that everybody was where they were supposed to be at. Election day is tomorrow, so we'll be ready for that. We'll have 1 or 2 additional officers working, staying a little bit late to help with any issues that may arise. For the most part, we will stay away from the election sites unless we are needed. I did get an opportunity this afternoon to speak to the pastor that was outside the City Hall this afternoon. They said they had moved the events for Monday, hoping that it was a good day for them because that would eliminate them from disturbing some of the meetings and maybe getting a little loud. But he said he's more than willing to work and he will continue to have them on Monday, make sure that he doesn't crash with any of the other activities that are happening here at City Hall. And the last thing I have is a little bit of a bad news. We're losing 1 more officer. He's going to the Yuma Proving Grounds, and that'll leave us with 5 positions open in patrol. We're hoping. We know that in August, mid of this month, we'll be conducting additional testing. So hopefully bringing on board staff that can fill these positions, and hopefully it'll be staff. I've been working closely with Armando, hoping to bring staff that is already certified. So that'll save us some money. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Human Resources.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. Well, as was mentioned and by other directors, we still have a few challenges with open positions. We're still actively recruiting for firefighters, EMT, paramedics, full-time and part-time, police officers, as was mentioned. For water, wastewater, we, as of last week, we had 4 open positions. Fortunately, we went through a few rounds of interviews and we've made 3 offers. So at the moment, we have 1 open position left for water, wastewater operator. 911 emergency dispatch, we just onboarded 1 person today. So that's getting a little better. We also have did the billing specialist that was filled internally with an internal transfer. And then we're currently actively still trying to recruit for Parks and Recreation Director, Fire Chief, City Manager. I think we're close to starting interviews on that. Senior Engineer Technician, Public Works Director. We just concluded an interview process, so we've got an offer pending for that position. Code Enforcement Specialist, we'll be doing interviews pretty soon this week, hopefully. Administrative Specialist in Public Works, that's actively being recruited. We have about 60 candidates for that, so I think we're in good shape. Recreation Specialist, actively recruiting for that position, and I think we have about 60 or 70 applicants for that, so I think we're okay there. And then we just posted a street maintenance worker position as well.
Economic Development.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. We continue to promote the parcels at Parkview Commerce Center. We have been focusing on hospitality for parcel number 3. Last week, we had a meeting with a hotel. This week, we are moving forward with another meeting with a hotel. We started with one interested investor, and now we have 2 interested investors, and they're both interested in this same project, which is very promising for us. News is on 203 West Main Street, a property across City Hall, which is the one across the street. We have 2 people interested, and 2 RFPs did go out for 2 different businesses. One would be a liquor store, and the other one is for an esports, which Saul educated me on that, but it seems very promising. One RFP came partially completed with a conceptual design as well. So we are in that works, more to come.
Community Development.
You were gonna stand up, Carmen.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. We are beginning the technical review for the preliminary plat of the Somerton 1898 subdivision. This is a 53-lot subdivision located on Main Street in Tumbaga Loop. Staff is also processing an application for a conditional use permit by MCA Auto Sales to open a car dealership at the old Elena's clothing store. They're planning to use the whole block from Union to Carlisle for a new car dealership there. We are beginning the process to update our zoning and subdivision codes. We are actually having a meeting with the consultant tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning to kick off the project. Staff has finalized the civil and engineering review of the Del Sol warehouse, so that permit is fully out. And I have some news on the Somerton townhomes here on Musgrove. After 4 years, the developer is finally moving forward with the project, and they have installed sewer laterals to the project and have submitted construction plans for the units themselves. We are reviewing those. At the last Planning and Zoning Commission, the commission voted to recommend approval for a rezoning and minor general plan amendment for a new 5.46 acre RV park adjacent to the golf course, and that'll be coming to the council, hopefully at the next council meeting. Staff is conducting the technical reviews for the Somerton Valley Center Vet Clinic and the Somerton High School Wrestling Room are still in review. And this week, staff finalized the review for the Figueroa apartment complex. This is a small fourplex located here on Main Street, 316 West Main Street, on the back of the lot. And this project was made possible via the utilization of the infill incentive overlay plan, which you approved a couple years ago. That is all I have.
Clerk's Office.
The primary elections are scheduled for tomorrow at the community center from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. I have here 5 to 9 p.m. No?
Polls open at 6 and close at 7.
That concludes, Mayor.
Councilman Garcia. Councilman Castillo.
I just want to, Carmen, thank you very much for your prompt responses on the emails that I sent. So I appreciate that. you were already on top of that, I think, when I sent them already. So thank you for that. I just want to wish everyone good luck on tomorrow's primaries election. Good luck to all the candidates. That's all I have, Mayor.
Councilwoman Sendejas.
I was going to mention the same thing and just reiterate what Chief Juarez had mentioned, just to invite our community that is registered to vote to exercise their vote. My understanding is the polls are open from 7 to 7. And again, wish everyone luck. Thank you. That's all I have.
Vice Mayor.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Councilman Roldan.
There was some meeting early today at Valley Vista Apartments, and I guess the connection is finally going to take place. So they'll be connecting the water from the City of Somerton to Valley Vista Apartments on Thursday. They're going to be doing the connection for about 6 hours, I think. So that's pretty good news for, I think, our city, and at the same time for the residents of Valley Vista. And on the other hand, on the I think most of you guys know, but I think the kids that represented Somerton in that baseball world did very well. I think Somerton was well represented, and I think they're now in the Youth Hall of Fame, and this name of Somerton is there. So I think it opened the doors for other kids also that now that they don't have to, they can just get invited and go to there. So that was a very good experience, and thank you all for the support and the comments in Facebook. And believe me, the kids saw that when we won the championship game, there were coaches crying, there were parents, there were kids, there were other teams cheering for Somerton. We got Googled by other coaches. So they know where we at. And I think that's, they're going to remember us for good. So I think it's a nice experience, for those kids to make it and to be, to go from a small town and to Cooperstown and win that tournament. I know other teams have gone, but I think this time was different. We've been with those kids for so many years, and I think it was, deserving for them, and so it was tiring, but at the end, the product was there. So thank you all for your support there.
You want to make us cry? I don't have much. I signed up I saw that Councilwoman Sendejas is going to be a presenter for the JYDC luncheon. So I did sign up for it. August 24th. Then the following week is League of Cities. So hopefully most of council can attend and get our networking with all the elected officials. That's something that's a value of that conference. So. And we have one item for executive session. It's obtaining legal advice from city attorney regarding all matters related to personnel, reorganization, and human resources. There a motion to go into executive session. There's a motion by Councilwoman Garcia.
Second
by Councilman Roldan. Those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're gonna have a 5-minute break and then go to the meeting.
No ni para nada, no es candidato de algo. I live here too. I'm
available any day next week except Tuesday or Friday. Una meeting. No puedo el Tuesday por la school board y el Friday no puedo porque tengo un softball. But I'm available.
¿Qué onda?